Welcome to the Home Education with Ease podcast. I'm your host, Christine Furman, a homeschool mom, entrepreneur, and educator with over 20 years of experience in the areas of elementary and special education. It's my mission to help you create lifelong learners and embrace a holistic approach to education at home. I'll be sharing practical strategies, inspiration, and resources to support your family. Whether you're a stay-at-home mom, a business owner, or balancing work and homeschool, you're in the right place to connect with a community that values education just as much as you do. Join us each week as we ditch the stress, embrace the joy of learning, and set your family up for a lifetime of success. Hey there, friends. Welcome back to another episode of the Home Education with Ease podcast. I'm your host, Christine Furman, your home education expert. And today we have a very special guest with us today, Dr. Cindy Zurchin. And I am so excited to have her with us because as we were talking off air, we have so many similarities and our philosophies align so well that we have been able to share some amazing stories. So Dr. Cindy is a leadership consultant, an educator, author, motivational speaker, and entrepreneur. And most importantly, and my favorite, that she added this in her bio, a wife and mom of 2 sons. Because a lot of times those things get forgotten, but those are some of our biggest accomplishments. She is passionate about helping other individuals and organizations build resilience, strengthen the workplace culture, and lead with courage and compassion. Throughout her career, she has served as a teacher, principal, and superintendent, which, as you guys know, as a former teacher, you can see where we have a lot of similarities and our stories we've been sharing a lot of great stories in those roles. And she is also, if that's not impressive enough, also the owner of Cynthia's School of Dance and Music, which is located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And she combines creativity, mentorship, community building to help her students grow in confidence both on and off the stage. And again, you guys know building our children in confidence is so near and dear to my heart. She has so many more things. She has released already 2 books that have amazing stories that go with them that I cannot wait to share with you. And she has a 3rd book coming out in September of 2026. So without further ado, welcome, Dr. Cindy. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, Christine, thank you so much for having me because I absolutely was so excited to be on your podcast today and to talk with you. As you said, we have so much in common, and I'm very, very passionate about helping moms because all those other things you listed that I do, being a mom is the hardest, most challenging, but the most rewarding job that anyone will ever have.
Yes. Absolutely.
So
I love that. Well, you want to tell everyone a little bit more about yourself and some of the things that you are doing and are passionate about?
Sure, absolutely. Great. So right now I am getting ready for our dance recital at Cynthia's School of Dance and Music, which is so exciting. And along with that, I've had the opportunity, I teach classes at the university, at Point Park University. I had the honor of writing the curriculum for dance educators in the state of Pennsylvania with Point Park University, and then to teach the curriculum and also to train dance educators. So it is just, for me, it's full circle to know that a lot of the values that we have in the studio are going to be transformed not only across the state of Pennsylvania, but all across the United States, because certainly helping children learn to become confident, we have such a greater chance that they're going to be successful and be able to face the challenges in life. You know, I was just sharing with you before we got on the podcast, I just came back from a vacation with my 2 adult sons, and it is just the most, first, it's just a great experience to go away with your children and spend time together, but as they're adults now, to hear their words coming back to me of the same things I had said to them when they were children and helping them. And I just think, oh my goodness, yes, it works. It absolutely works. So that's why I'm so passionate about really helping families and helping people just live their best life.
Yes. And I love this. I love that you are years ahead of where I'm at in my, journey with my children, motherhood, right? And those are the things that I believe in, that confidence, the independence, creating that, instilling that kindness for them. And, now you are able to see that those things actually do make a huge difference in their lives as they start to figure out what life looks like for them. They're in their mid-20s, so they're figuring out life now, So I just want to say how encouraging this is to say, yes, we are on the right track. You are doing the right thing. Because a lot of times, it's trial and error. You're just trying to figure something out. And is this going to work? Is this a good thing for us or not? So just to know that if we really stay true to these values, to these principles, that yes, it does work and it does make a difference in our lives and the lives of our children and the lives of people around us. Absolutely.
Right. Absolutely. And like you said, you really have to stay the path. So often I will hear, people say, oh, hey, this isn't working. And I say, maybe it didn't work right now at this moment in time, but let's give it time. Let's continue the path. Just like, one of the greatest gifts we can give our children is to help them be prepared to face challenges in life. Because we know that life is full of challenges. And as parents, as moms, I know myself, a lot of times we want to swoop in there and say, you know what, this I'll protect you from this. Yes. And in reality, we need to make sure that they're prepared to overcome those challenges so that they know they can do it. They can do it. They can be successful. They'll be confident in themselves.
Yes.
So I just say to parents so many times, let's stay the path. Let's stay the path. Yeah. Let's help build that confidence because it's tough. It's tough on parents and it's tough on children today. There's lots of challenges out there we face.
There really are. And that's something too, how are we preparing our kids for these challenges in today's world? It's constantly changing. And my husband and I were actually just talking about this the other night, where technology has changed drastically, even in 100 years. He was like, just think about it. 100 years ago, we were figuring out how to make a phone call.
Right.
And now here we are. We have AI at our fingertips. Everyone has a phone. You can message, call, and FaceTime someone halfway across the world in the blink of an eye. And when it doesn't work, then we get mad, right? Like how quickly it is always evolving and always changing, which is exciting, but also very scary, So how are we helping our children to learn to handle the failure, the disappointment, the setbacks in some healthy ways as we are navigating the challenges of this world?
Right. I'm so glad that you asked that, because when you think about it, our children are always watching us. They are always learning from us. We see what we are doing, and our children then mimic that behavior. And so like you talk about the technology, are we constantly always on the phone when our children are trying to ask us questions? We want to make sure that the behavior that we're modeling is behavior that's helping them grow. Again, we're not going to be perfect. Life is not perfect. We're not looking for the perfect parent, but we're looking for behavior to model, to show that we care about them, we love them, and we'll support them. And one very, very clear example of this for me was, unfortunately, at one point in my life, I had gone for an eye exam. And I was just, I had finished work. I was a principal at the time. And then I had an appointment with the eye doctor, and I was going to run then to get my children from the woman that was watching them for me. And all of a sudden, the doctor said to me, he said, I think you have cancer in your eye.
Wow.
And it just stopped me dead in my tracks. I was thinking about, okay, I got to pick up my kids. I got to go to the grocery store.
Right.
And when he said, you're going to have to go see a specialist, and I left the office and I called my husband immediately, and my husband said to me, well, what are you going to do? What are we going to do? Mm-hmm. And I took a deep breath and I said, you know what? I said, right now, I'm going to go get my children, and I'm going to keep myself together, and we're going to carry on like we always would, and we're going to sit our children down and talk with them that I'm going to have to go to see a specialist to see what's going on with my eye.
Yeah.
So we found it very, very important to model that behavior, that we were facing a challenge, to be real with them. There's no perfect, to be honest with them, to be open, but that we were going to face this challenge together. Well, lo and behold, Christine, I had to go out of state to see the specialist, only to be told that I was to have surgery then right away, and I'd have to have some cancer treatments immediately, and I wasn't going back home. I had told my children I was coming back home.
Oh, my goodness.
So as I called them on the phone to tell them that we had gotten delayed, a few days later, I received a call from the school they were attending, and the teacher in the school said, I just want to tell you, she said, your one son, she said, has announced to the class that you have cancer and you're going to die.
Oh, my goodness.
And Christine, as a parent, it broke my heart, but it was the clearest picture that they were watching, they were listening to the adults that were around them at the time, watching them when we were away, and they had made that conclusion themselves and had announced to the class what they thought was going to happen. I immediately got on the phone to my children and said, I'm coming home, I will be home. We just need to know a few more days. And as soon as I got home, my husband and I again sat down with them, and we did tell them that, yes, I did have cancer, but the cancer didn't have me. And as a family, we were going to face it together. I had a team of doctors. I had a team of people to help me at the house, and that we were going to continue to enjoy each and every day and every moment. So I have always found being open and honest, and as they saw that struggle, they saw that I needed support from people. They saw that I was open with them, that I was honest, that to express gratitude, to show that we are so thankful for so many things, even the smallest of things. Sometimes today, children become, as you said, so wrapped up in this social media thing and everything about seeing things on Facebook and, life is perfect and they want to have everything, that teaching our children to express gratitude for just the smallest of things, for sitting down to have dinner together, for, just taking a walk together, to express that is a wonderful experience. And that is really where we build strong relationships. So I have found, helping children to actually handle failure, handle disappointment. It's not that you sit down with them once and have a conversation about how do you build your resilience. It's how they watch what we are doing. Do we handle tragedy? Do we handle and be able to recover when something happens that's difficult? When we're out in public, do we conduct ourselves appropriately?
Yes. When you're
driving, yes. Right. So many times you'll hear a child all of a sudden then start to swear or do some kind of inappropriate signal with their finger. And, parents will say, I don't know where they learned that. Well, maybe they happen to see you do that at some point in time. It is so very important. We don't have to be the perfect person, because we know perfect doesn't exist. But when those things do happen, it's really about then letting your children know, hey, that really wasn't the best way I could have handled that.
Absolutely. I just had that kind of conversation with my kids, not about the car. I didn't do anything crazy in the car,
right?
But I often am responding to voice messages, because there's people constantly reaching out to me, and I said, listen, this is not good car behavior, right? I should not be sending a voice message or a text message at a red light. Like, this is illegal in some states. I do know this now, right? But I had to make that very clear to them. Like, one, I had been driving, 15 years before you were even born, and yes, so while this behavior is not acceptable, I should not be modeling this for you. And when you start driving, you are not doing this, like having those conversations of saying, like, we know that this is not appropriate, and I want to make sure that you are safe. That has always been my thing to them, even from the time they were little and still now. Like, what is my job? My job is to keep you safe. Right. And that was always, I said, what's my job? It's to keep you safe, no matter what. It could be what you're watching, what you're seeing, what you're doing. And just as you're talking about, yes, they could have seen this behavior at some point. Sometimes it doesn't come from us. sometimes it's the other people that we're around.
Exactly.
And I remember so distinctly whenever we had the kids that I had to take a very good look of the people that we were around or friends that we were friends with before, that I was like, is this a good example and a good model for what we want for our children? And we had to come to an agreement with that.
Right. That is so very true. I used to always work with my children about that we would always be very respectful in public, and that we would always thank people, and we would use their name to acknowledge them. And it's so funny because, I could clearly remember times when they were younger when they would tap me and they'd say, Mom, you forgot to tell her thank you. You forgot to tell her thank you, So, they do start to really develop those habits. And, the other thing, when things get tough, we had a saying at our house, and we still have it to this day. I would say to my children, you know what? The sun is going to come up tomorrow, and it's a fresh day. It's a time to start again. We're going to work harder. We're going to try harder. And even when we were away, I was talking to my one son about a kind of situation I'm trying to make some decisions about. And he said, you know what, Mom? Remember, the sun's going to come up tomorrow. Oh, my God, yes.
I love it.
Over 20 years later,
Yes.
Because that is so true. It's... it's about teaching our children times to be able to, breathe, to regulate ourselves, to control our emotions, and to be able to help and support other people. It's just, it's very, very challenging. There's no doubt about it. And kids get involved in sports, and, parents sometimes, put a lot of pressure on their children to perform at their absolute best. And I always say you certainly do want to give it your absolute best, but you need to watch where that pressure is taking your child.
Yes.
Because it can sometimes overstep the bounds. And, I go to events, and, I own a dance studio, and, I sometimes hear people say things to their children about their performance. And that is statements that you can't take back.
Right.
So I do find, I remember clearly, my one son who wanted to play baseball. And I'm telling you, Christine, it was a challenge. I mean, he couldn't throw, he couldn't hit. We supported him no matter what. We practiced with him at home, individually and privately. He could hit and he could catch. We'd get out to the field and nothing happened. And, he would say, I'm going to give it my best. I'm going to try. When he talked about quitting, we'd say, do we quit? No, we don't quit. He'd say, you're right. He said, Mom, the sun's going to come up tomorrow. It's going to be another game. I'm going to try. And I am going to tell you, though, it got to be in the last game of the season, and the coach he had was a great coach. He always, said he was going to rotate everybody through the positions. And so my son had never had a chance to pitch, and it was the last game of the season, and the best player from the other team was up at bat, and my son was the person who was scheduled to pitch. If you don't think sitting there as a parent, I thought I was going to have a heart attack. But anyway, my son, with his unorthodox pitch, somehow threw 3 strikes, struck the other player out. And the best thing was both teams, everyone, it wasn't even the end of the game. Both whole teams got off the benches screaming and yelling and cheering for him. So it was, we still talk about it to this day. You don't forget those times, but it was, my husband and I stood beside him. We encouraged him. We wouldn't let him quit. We praised progress. We reframed every single one of those strikeouts, every single one of those missed balls as, it's just another opportunity to do better next time.
That's absolutely right. Oh, man, that is a great story.
Oh, gosh.
That. But, that's the persistence, and that's what we're teaching our children, is we are giving it our best. We are not putting this pressure on us, because there's so much pressure on our children these days. I work with so many kids that are doing testing and competitive sports and different things, and I'm like, the pressure that is on these children is heartbreaking to me. And I think as parents, we just have to say, just do your best. I'm here to support you just like you did every single step of the way. And I'm going to praise you. And I'm going to turn all of this into positivity, because that's what our kids need. They need that positive reinforcement all the time.
They do. They do, absolutely. And giving up and quitting, it's better for them to, have an experience where, maybe at times they do fail. It doesn't go quite the way they expected it to go. That is better than dropping out and saying, I just quit. I give up. Yeah. There is no giving up, because in life, as you and I both know, giving up doesn't work too well. I mean, right. You have to pick up the pieces, and you know that you can go through these challenges.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And that's something so true, is like these, it's not really failure. They're learning opportunities,
right.
And I think we just need to keep rephrasing it that way, that no, we didn't fail. It's a learning opportunity, everything that we do. And I talk about this a lot when we're teaching our kids, as homeschool families and educating them at home, yeah, it's hard, but we're going to keep pushing through. We're going to try it in a different way and help you to learn from that challenge, so, and continue to build them from there.
Right. I mean, actually, right, for homeschool parents, I mean, you are the whole curriculum. I mean, yes. It is very challenging, for parents to be teaching and modeling. So, we have to make sure, too, as parents that, we do take some time to make sure that, we, breathe and relax and have a few moments to, take care of ourselves, because we can't give away something to our children that we don't have. And to remember, too, that there is no perfect, and it's okay to make mistakes, like you said. We just have to reframe that as it's all learning. It certainly is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's talk about your dance studio for a minute, because we're kind of like on this track with our children, right? I have a couple other questions, but let's start talking about Cynthia's School of Dance and Music and how it is a different studio. You've received multiple awards, recognition over the years, but what makes your studio and the culture of your studio so special and different than others?
Right. Well, you've hit on it when you said the culture is so different. We certainly have a culture where every child is seen. Every child is accepted where they are, and we work to take them to the next level. And when I say that, we also have students, and here I'm going to share this picture if this can get on the screen. This is the ballerina on wheels, and that is one of our actual students. That's Ava. And we have students with all kinds of special needs. Ava is nonverbal and is in a wheelchair, and she dances. It looks different. Yes, it absolutely looks different, but she dances, and that is our mission, is to build confidence in our students. Dance and music is the forum that we use. When we are teaching and when all of our teachers are working with the students, they don't focus on what someone is doing wrong or inappropriate. They focus on what they're doing right, and they focus too with the other children in the class of, look at how she is pointing her toe. Let's take a look at that. That is absolutely gorgeous, the way she has her toe pointed like that. And it is amazing how all of those students will work twice as hard, because everybody wants to be recognized. Yet as adults, people are conditioned to always say, point your toe, stand in line, do this. That's not. Our staff is not conditioned to do that. We are conditioned that we do the opposite. And it's so interesting when people come to our studio, they're like, this is really different here. I didn't realize how the atmosphere is different. And it's so different, too, that the parents are all supportive of each other. Like when you go into the studio, we have groups of parents that now have book clubs when they come to the studio, because they support each other. And if someone new comes to the studio, parents immediately, walk over. They introduce themselves. They help them. They say, hey, don't worry. There's no right or left shoe for the ballet shoes. They go on either feet. You can do this. They are so supportive. But we have worked very hard to build that culture that everyone is accepted, everyone can dance, and that we look for the best in our children and in all of our families. And we've kind of built this island unto ourselves. And I was just there last week, and one of our students who uses a walker for mobility, she used to have an aide that would come with her into the class. And then, she wanted to be totally independent. We said, hey, let's go for it. We're going to do it. And I saw her doing her dance, and after she was done doing her dance, she came over to me at her walker and she was nonverbal. She gave me a high five, And it was one of the first times I had witnessed her doing her dance with no support. And I was
that
just
so much.
So proud of her. And the other students in the class, if she needs something, they help her. They help her.
Yeah.
And then one of the other parents said to me, she's like, you know what? She said, I don't know if you realize it, she said, because this is just such a rare occurrence, she said, to find this culture that is created here of really helping and supporting. She said, it's such a wonderful safety zone for students to grow and experience. And her daughter actually was somebody who last year fell on stage. I mean, she splat right out, fell on stage during the performance. She got up within 1 second and she was dancing again.
Aww.
She got off the stage. We said, hey, are you okay? Took care of those little, cuts that she had. She's like, hey, the show goes on.
That's right. It happens. So. Oh, that's so great. What a great environment and culture that you are creating for these children, and to help nurture them to say, you know what, we are here. We're here to continue to build you up right where you're at and watch you soar. I love that so much. So I want to ask, do you have a lot of students from maybe traveling kind of far to come to your studio?
So it's interesting. We have had students, we're located in Pittsburgh, right off of an exit off of 279 on McKnight Road. So we have a nice location for easy accessibility. And we have had students over the years, yes, that have come from, I'll call it the tri-state area, from Ohio. We have students that have come from West Virginia. We have a lot of students that come clear from the other side of the city.
That's where I would have been coming from, all the way up. Right. Beaver County.
Yes, we do. We have a lot of students that come from Beaver County.
Yes. I mean, just to know that the culture of that studio, right? There are some studios that may not be as accepting, right? And to know that your studio is accepting of everyone and everyone has an opportunity. I know as a special education teacher, I would definitely be recommending and saying, yes, here is some place that you can go and feel confident and flourish and know that you're going to be loved and supported. So absolutely, I can totally see that there are families coming from miles to come to your studio.
And, the nice thing is that I have second and third generation families coming back to the studio. And currently, one of my students who was a student has now become one of my teachers. She just had received 2 years ago her dance pedagogy degree, and she is back teaching with us. And, some of my other students have gone on to dance, on cruise ships and, have gone on to do just all wonderful things. So it's kind of like we never lose contact with them. It's like having just a big community of thousands and thousands of people that truly believe in being supportive and in the mindset of growth. And what you focus on is what you get more of.
Yes.
And also we for a while, our studio didn't go to competitions just because the environment had not been a really healthy environment for students. But we found one that we went back to this year, and our students, they did fantastic. We even had one of our students with special needs go, and I'll tell you, she just shined.
Oh, I love that so much.
It was great. It's a good experience.
So beautiful. And my daughter did dance for a while, and that was the dance teacher's philosophy. It was about performance, not the competition part of it. It's about getting the kids on stage and being able to perform, because it can be very toxic. So having a leader to know where is a good, a good opportunity for the students without it becoming a toxic environment. So you are
absolutely.
So amazing. I love that all so much. So the book that you had there, what was the name?
So this is Ballerina on Wheels.
On Wheels.
So amazing.
That link will be in the show notes, so you guys can check that book out. That is a children's book, right, for the people that are watching or listening and not watching the video. So that's a children's book. Definitely check that out. Now let's also talk about your other two books. So let's talk about the first book that you already have written. So Whale Done School. Now this book is, all of your books have phenomenal stories, right? But this book, guys, listen up, because this is such a beautiful story. I remember us talking about this, and I need to get this book myself. So this link will also be in the show notes. But can you tell us a little bit more about this book that you wrote?
Sure. So it's the true story. All of my books have true stories. This is the true story of a school that was failing. We had some of the highest rates of suspension, and things were not going well. Teachers were wanting to transfer out of the school. I was principal of the school, and it was not something certainly that I was, willing to accept. So I said to the team at one point, I said, we have to do something different. We had no additional money, no additional funds. We were receiving no additional support from central office. It was really up to us as like a parent. It's up to you to do everything on your own. Mm-hmm. So I had attended a seminar for businesses on how some key strategies for businesses to increase productivity, help with sales. And at the time, the seminar was presented by Ken Blanchard, who's a management leadership expert in California and across the world. He wrote the 1 Minute Manager, how do you help people be successful? And so he was talking about this book that he was writing after a recent visit to SeaWorld on how they train killer whales, and he called it Whale Done. Certainly if they didn't get Shamu to jump 30 feet in the air by punishing Shamu.
Right.
And I remember thinking, my goodness, I think I'm jumping into a tank of killer whales every day, and, we're not winning the battle. I mean, we had students throwing chairs, defecating in sinks, you name it. The most unbelievable achievement was not well. Right. So anyway, fast forward, I purchased a book for everybody. We read the book. We talked about, how can we take these business strategies and translate them into helping students, teachers, and parents. And we did that. We came up with all the different strategies. We translated everything so it would work for us. And we said, when do we start? I said, we start immediately. We start as soon as we walk out this door.
Exactly.
And we did. And the key strategies talk about building trust. How do you build trust with people? How do you quickly build trust? How do you maintain and continue to build trust with students, parents, and the staff? We worked on that. How do you activate the positive every day? We changed the focus on what we were looking at every day. So as long as it wasn't a serious safety concern, we were going to focus on what another child was doing right.
Yes.
In the school. And that's what we did. And I'm telling you, Christine, in 3 days, people couldn't believe it. How
3 days?
Students really wanted to say, hey, I want attention too. That person got attention,
yes.
For working hard in the class. I want attention.
Yes.
You fast forward 3 months, it was getting very different. And what we did was we put in a morning program where we had yoga in the morning, and it was just 10 minutes. 10 minutes to pull everybody together, to develop that strong sense of community, build that trust, refocus everyone's brains, to be able to center themselves, and then we'd send them out to their first period class. And anyone who wasn't ready to be sent out, we had a few people, and I was always one of those people who would help that student be able to come and focus. 3 months, It started to major changes. You fast forward to the end of a year, we had transformed. It got to the point that the church down the street, the pastor and the staff came and they said, what have you done? They said, you have created a miracle here. They said, we saw what was happening before and it's totally transformed. We trained the staff. We had the police come. The police said, whatever you're doing, let us in on it. We want to know too. We trained the parents. We had so many businesses coming to the school to say, what you have done, what has been created here has never happened before. People wanted to say, what can we do? How can we help? We had so many people wanting to come and help. One day I remember the manager from Starbucks came and he brought 50 gift cards and he said, give these out to the teachers. He said, because this is unbelievable. We created a nationwide model for turning schools around. And Christine, it has continued to work again and again. And not only does it work still in schools, it works in homes, it works in businesses. And I have worked training people, training everyone from the custodial staff to the center office staff, training CEOs, C-suite, you name it, sales staff people. It works repeatedly. When you build trust, when you learn to accentuate the positive, with yourself and with everybody in your life, and then you learn to redirect mistakes, redirect yourself, redirect others, you will see miracles happen. Now, I'm not going to say that it's easy, because it is a challenge each and every day. It is absolutely exhausting to be looking for the best in everybody and then redirect yourself or them when things aren't going. It is challenging, but it is well worth the payoff. It was amazing.
Sure.
Amazing. So anyway, we put the book together.
What school were you at? Was this in Pittsburgh or
This was in Pittsburgh. It was in Pennsylvania. It was in the Pittsburgh Public Schools. It was Schaefer Elementary School, which actually there is a video available online. We can put the video link in too.
Yes.
Andrew Stockey came and did a kind of short documentary on the school and everything, because we increased achievement. Like, people were wanting to figure out how they could, come to the school, even if they didn't live in the area. It was just it became like a field of dreams. And we actually, so how the book came about was I called Ken Blanchard, and we actually sent a short note to say, hey, we wanted you to know that your business strategies saved a school. And he was like, this is the first school I think we've ever saved. And he called one day on the phone and he said, Cindy, he said, you're the real deal. He said, you did it. And he said, let's write a book about it. So we did. And it has worked repeatedly. And it's just, something that I live a well-done way of life. And I just recently talked with a gentleman that used the strategies from General Motors. You think General Motors in a school using these strategies? Yes. It works. And he recently retired. He was in charge of 92 plants across the whole North America. And he said to me, we have more time to talk now that he's retired. And he said to me, Cindy, he said, it's just living a well-done way of life. And that's what it is. It's living a well-done way of life. It's living a life that you feel great about every day. And that certainly, again, as a parent, it's what your children see. My children learned early on about the well-done way of life. And matter of fact, when I did my first book signing for this book, my one son said to me, he said, Mom, and he was real young at the time, so you'll appreciate this. He said, Mom, I think you're going to win a Nobel Peace Prize. He said, because you help everybody. And I was like, oh my gosh, But it works. It works.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, so what year was that?
So that was... Oh, boy, let's see. What year actually was the book published? The book was published in 2012. Okay. So it was probably at least 3 years before that. So I guess it must have been around 2000. I think the school, they reorganized the school in around 2006. It was at the time the Pittsburgh Public Schools were closing about 22 of their schools. And they were putting all these different areas and neighborhoods together, merging schools, and it did not go well. So that was about from 2006 to 2009. We worked on these strategies because after 3 years, we had totally transformed the culture. I mean, it was a whole new place. Everything was, it held. And then I guess we published the book probably got printed around 2012.
That's amazing. And I just want to commend you for your leadership, right? To know that you came into a school and things were failing and people wanted to leave and it was not a good environment, and you said, wait a second, let's pause and let's figure out how we can make a change. And that takes strong leadership, because if you don't have a strong leader in place, that change is never going to happen. You're just going to keep going through day by day, and it is what it is, right? And then the people are watching you, your teachers, your staff, the students, so I just commend you so much. Like, what an inspiring story to be able to share and to know that this can work for anyone. So families that are out there that are listening and they're like, what do we do? How do we turn this around? Definitely check out this book, The Well Done School, and definitely connect with Cindy, because she is the real deal. She's got some real leadership here. And so I want to briefly talk about your new book that's coming up, and then I want to share how can people connect with you and work with you if that is something that they are like, we need more of that. So let's talk about your new book, Made of More.
Yes. So Made of More came about because I have, it's kind of interesting, I have an opportunity, to work with businesses. Mainly I focus on Fortune 500 companies. healthcare facilities, a lot of healthcare facilities, and educational institutions and settings. And the strategies, they work. But I have found my approach is very, very direct and clear. I don't sugarcoat anything, and I'm not interested in talking to you about, the research of this and the research of that. This is the practicality of the situation you have, analyzing what your problems are, doing some, deep analysis, finding out what do we need to fix. And so, again, I've seen companies have great success. I've seen families have great success. I have had people come to me afterwards and say, if I would have had this training before, the one gentleman said to me, he goes, I don't think I'd be divorced at this point in my life. Aww. He said, and I had a woman once, I was working at a company and she said to me, she said, I hate to tell you this, she said, but I have actually thought, she said, about ending my own life, she said. And she said, I've never heard anybody, she said, who says it like it needs to be said. She said, and you don't sugarcoat it, because I don't sugarcoat it. I'm very direct. And, I even say to some of the companies, sometimes, because a lot of times it's a leadership problem. It is a leadership problem. And if the leader is not willing to accept responsibility for everything that happens in that company, the good, people always want to accept the good. Right. But they have to be willing to accept the bad and know that they have a key component in helping change that culture. It's not about pointing fingers at other people. Right. So I kept seeing, different strategies that would work very quickly and people would understand very well. And I said, I really want to find a way that I can reach a greater amount of people in a shorter period of time. Because I'm not going to have an opportunity to interact with everybody. And certainly not every company is going to bring in people to train or people to have a motivational presentation and do an engaging workshop. So I started writing everything down into Made of More. So I can't even tell you what version this is because I've lost track of how many versions it is. But we have it now at a version that we are set for publication in September of this year, 2026. And how it works, yes, I know, I'm so excited, is I have a little story, and they're real stories, but we've changed the names for some of the people and the location and the places to protect the innocent. And then we give the leadership lesson. And when I say leadership lesson, every mom listening out there, every dad listening out there, you are a leader. Yes. Because you are leading yourself every day, you're leading your children every day, you're leading your families. You are all leaders. We are all leaders. Yes. And then after the lesson, I give the practical application of how is this going to work for you? Because sometimes, you read a book and you think, oh, okay, well, that was great. And what do I do now? So I give the practical application. This is what you need to do. These are the 5 steps or 6 steps or 3 steps that I'm going to suggest that you need to take and do right now and to consider. And sometimes you need to adapt them a little bit for yourself. There's no doubt about that. Not everything's going to work for everybody. Then we have, a monthly checklist that you can pick out some things to keep yourself focused. I have found from the beta group of readers that has read this current version that is actually going to publication, that people have said, wow, they said, this is something that there's nothing else out there like that. It's very, very different. But you know what? Life is very different. And I get so, I don't know why I say I'm still surprised, but I'm sometimes so surprised that, people, especially schools in particular, keep trying to repeat the same things and they expect a different result. We all know that
right?
That doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
Life is different. So we need to say, how do we address and help people deal with issues you are facing now? And whether you're facing it right now at this moment in time, it might not be, but you might be facing it down the road. Your children might be facing it down the road, your best friend, your family. It might be something that'll come back. There is something to help everyone in Made of More, because you know what? We are all made of more than we believe we are. We all have more inside of us to give. We just need sometimes somebody to help us, kind of get it out of us there. Yes, and so that's what this book is about. It's like getting it out of, so that you will know that you are made of more. So I am really excited about it. The feedback has just been wonderful. And, I'm still in touch with Ken Blanchard, who is just a business guru. He has helped lead, the top Fortune 500 companies across the world. And he and his wife, they wrote the foreword for the book, and it meant the world to me because to believe in me. But I've had the opportunity to work with them and help them for some of the schools that they wanted to see transformed in the area. So it's just been, I feel it's been a blessing. And, I've been through a lot of personal things myself. I've been through a lot of tragedies, like I shared with you, the cancer. But that was like the cancer, that was a walk in the park compared to some of the other things that have happened in my life.
Wow.
But I always say they were put there to teach a lesson and to help me grow and to overcome. We could all certainly just roll up in a ball and cry and, say, hey, be helpless. I'm doing nothing. But no, that's not what life is about.
No.
It's rising.
I always say that, what are the teaching moments here? So
yes.
How can we learn from it? Absolutely. Well, Cindy, this has been absolutely amazing. You know that we could talk for hours because we have so much in common. But how could our listeners and our viewers get in touch with you? We're going to have all of these links in the show notes below, but if you could just tell them, ways that they can connect with you for upcoming events or workshops or speaking, whatever that you have for them.
Sure, absolutely, because certainly I would love to come and speak at events that where people are looking to grow and to build their resilience and just become the best version of themselves. They can contact me. The best way is to contact me via email, which would be cindy@drcindyzurchin.com. Send me an email. I do have on my website where you can sign up for to receive notifications from me. But I always say it's better just to reach out to me directly by email, cindy@drcindyzurchin.com, and I will certainly get back to you. I do offer, free consultations to talk with everybody, and all of our programs are customized because certainly, no two companies, no two people, no two organizations are the same, but we know there are some common threads of how we can help people achieve. And certainly if you have somebody who would love to dance or you're looking to start an arts program, give me a call. And again, you can contact me, cindy@drcindyzurchin.com, and I will make sure you will have the most amazing arts program in whatever location you happen to be.
I love it so much. I am already seeing lots of visions of how we can continue to work together because you are absolutely phenomenal. So I just want to thank you so much for being here. And as we close today, is there one last thing that you would like to leave our listeners with?
Well, I would just like to say that definitely no matter what challenges you are facing yourself as a mom or a dad or your children are facing, please know that you are made of more and that there are opportunities and we can help you, certainly, to live your best life. Thank you, Christine, for everything you're doing with the podcast and with everything you're doing to help homeschoolers. So thank you so much for having me on here today.
Yes, thank you, Cindy, so much for being here. And yes, all of these links for Cindy are going to be in the show notes below, so you guys can click on those links, reach out to Cindy directly, and check out the books. I know that they are in my Amazon cart, and we're going to get those ordered. So then that way I can check them out as well. But thank you again so much for being here. This was absolutely wonderful, and I can't wait to keep chatting with you and have you back, I'm sure.
Oh, yes. I look forward to more exciting work together. Take care.
Yes,
best wishes.
Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to the Home Education with Ease podcast. I hope today's episode left you feeling empowered and ready to take the next steps on your home education journey. Your support means the world to me. Please subscribe, leave a review, and share with a friend. For even more resources, be sure to join the free Facebook group, Home Education with Ease, and visit eduplaylearning.com to explore our programs and subscription kits. You can find the links and any other links mentioned in this episode in the show notes below. Remember, you're not alone. This community is here to support you every step of the way.